Welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Friday, the 16th of June. Good to have you aboard. We are a Blue Wire podcast, presented as always by Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, 800-747-FREE. That's 800-747-3733. Everything ZASLOW Show 2.0 is always brought to us by Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys. And of course, tomorrow, actually it'll be Sunday, this weekend I should say, but Sunday, the next episode of our wrestling podcast, It's Still Real to Me. Everything presented by Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. We got some NBA rumors, free agency to continue keeping an eye on. There could be possible big NBA news coming later today. We'll get to that. I'll tell you what's going on there. We're going to do big game, not a big game. I will give you a little bit of a spoiler, kind of an abridged version. We're at that time of year. No more hockey, no more basketball, but of course, you got all the big summer blockbuster movies, and that means big movie, not a big movie today. Like every Friday on this show, we're going to talk to Trista Crick, one of my favorites out there. You got the Heat Check with Trista Crick, wherever you get your podcasts. BetMGM every night as well. We're going to get her on the show today. We'll talk some NBA with her. And, of course, we will start the show yesterday. Now, this might be a big movie, not a big movie. Maybe it won't be. No spoiler. But yesterday, me, my two sons, the ZASLOW boys, we went and we saw The Flash. That's right. We see all the big movies, all the superhero movies. We see them the day they come out. And we all know the way it works. Like, the premiere day is today, June 16th. But we always go the day before. We go right away, the first showings in the afternoon. So we went yesterday afternoon at 4 p.m. The first thing I would say is, and I think there have been some projections as such. I don't think this movie is going to have the big opening that you would expect it to, that I would have expected to. You know, I go to these superhero movies. I go the day before, the Thursday. We go to like the 4 p.m. movie, and the theater is packed. The theater was not packed yesterday. Not at all. I would say it was less than half full. That was very surprising to me. Now, the movie's going to make a lot of money, but is it going to make $100 million opening weekend? Projections are at like 70, which apparently would be disappointing for them. So, remember, by the way, movies are funny. By the way, when I was a kid, right, and you had a huge movie that was coming out, if the movie made $100 million total, that was a great movie. That was great business. Now, these big superhero movies, they better make over $100 million opening weekend, or it's a disappointment. Also, another thing with movies. So now, yes, granted, you have all different types of movie theaters. You got the IMAX, you got the Dolby Sound, you got the theaters with the chairs that move, and there's water mist, and there's fire, all right? You have all different kinds of theaters. Movies now, you go to the movie, you're talking $13, $15 a ticket. I remember when I was a kid, if you were going to the movies and the movie was $4, it's like, whoa, this is very expensive. $4.50 max. Movies are expensive nowadays. Anyway, I'm not complaining. Movies are great. So, I saw The Flash yesterday. Probably the most excited I've been for a superhero movie since Spider-Man No Way Home. Very pumped up to see The Flash yesterday. I'm not going to give any spoilers, so if you're listening right now and you're going to go see the movie this weekend or whenever, I'm not going to give any spoilers because there are definitely things that you don't want spoiled in the movie. I'm going to say a few things. Number one, the movie was wild. It was really fun. The movie was funny as hell. I was laughing so much, especially the first half of the movie. So funny. So funny. And you know I'm not a huge Ezra Miller fan, specifically because total douchebag. Like, not a good person, it seems. But, man, he was great in this movie. Really, really funny. I laughed so much in this movie. I did not expect that. So, the movie, while there's a serious tone at times, also has a very light tone at times. Movie's wild. It's really fun. I highly recommend going to see it. But I will say a couple things. The first thing I will say, this is a great example, this movie, of why I hate watching the trailer of these movies before I go see it. I'd so much rather know nothing. I can know a smidgen, like I can know that Michael Keaton, his Batman's back, but I don't want to know anything else. I don't want to see any previews. I don't want to watch the trailers, because my big fear when it comes to watching these trailers came to fruition with this movie. And that is, so much of the movie, so many of the fun lines are spoiled for you in the trailer before going to see the movie. This is a great example of why I hate watching the trailers for these movies. I'd rather know nothing. I'd rather be completely surprised. And stuff that I would have really enjoyed surprising me, I already saw in the trailers. Like Michael Keaton saying, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts." I wish I didn't see that in the trailer. I wish I saw it in the movie. There's so much that happens in the trailer that are some of the really, really cool parts in the movie. And it was, essentially spoiled for us because it was in the trailer. So that part kind of sucks. I got to point that out. Now, as far as, and look, there are cameos in the movie that you don't know about and are pretty wild. So that's a lot of fun. You'll really enjoy that. Like I expected, and I said this yesterday, Ben Affleck's Batman is in very little of the movie. General Zod is not in that much of the movie. Those two things we kind of knew going in, and that was absolutely the case. I loved Supergirl. I think Sasha Calle is great in that role. Really enjoyed her. Michael Keaton, that's what you're wondering. So great. So cool to see him back as Batman. By the way, yesterday's ZASLOW Show 2.0 poll. Who is your Batman? Because that's what everybody's most excited about with the Flash movie, right? Is Batman. Who is your Batman? And the choices were Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck, Robert Pattinson, and Christian Bale. The winner, my vote as well, the winner with 55% of the vote, Christian Bale. 35% of the vote. 35% of the vote? Let me do some quick math in my head. Yeah, 40% of the vote, right? Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Back up a second. 39, I'm sorry. I'm making it very confusing. The winner with 55% of the vote, all right, was Christian Bale. 39% of the vote, Michael Keaton. 3% Ben Affleck, 3% Robert Pattinson. When you add all those up, that equals 100. That's how percentages work. So Michael Keaton, 39%, Christian Bale, 55%. I don't have a problem with that. But it was so cool seeing Michael Keaton back as Batman. He was fantastic. I loved that about the movie. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, ZASLOW, did you like the movie? Was it a big movie, not a big movie? Well, look, I'll tell you during big movie, not a big movie. But here's the thing. While I really enjoyed the movie, and by the way, not everyone really enjoyed it. I see a lot of reviews online, a lot of people online who are saying that the movie's a mess because there's a lot going on in the movie. The movie's just a mess. I didn't feel that way. Like, I was thoroughly enjoying the movie because I'm laughing, and I love seeing Michael Keaton again. And there's new character. Like, it was so cool. I loved the movie. But, I've been telling you that And I gotta be honest, I've been telling you how the reason I knew this movie was going to be incredible is because they didn't shelve it. Because they still came out with it despite Ezra Miller being a disaster in real life. Well, I have to tell you, while I loved the movie, it's not a great movie. I gotta be honest. It's not a great movie. Like the way, the way we're so excited about Spider-Man No Way Home and the nostalgia and the other Spider-Man. That movie was awesome. It was better than expectation. I think my expectation for this movie ended up being too high. It's not a great movie. It's really fun. It's wild. I really enjoyed it. I totally dug it. And Michael Keaton, of course, is the best part. But you're not going to hold it up the way you do Avengers Endgame or Avengers Infinity War and say, wow, phenomenal movie, The Flash. It's not phenomenal. It's not. I was surprised in that fashion. I really liked it. I loved it. I did. I would love to see it again. But that's because it was fun. And it was nostalgic. It's not a great movie. I gotta be honest. So, and I'm not even disappointed to say, a little bit disappointed in that part. I'm not disappointed because I loved it. But it's not a great movie by any stretch of the imagination. So, go see it. If you're excited, you should absolutely be seeing it. You're going to like it. I understand what some people are saying, that the movie's a mess. It's not very good. I guess I understand, but I don't know. I feel like you're trying to not enjoy it if that's the case. There's too much fun in the movie. There's too much cool stuff in the movie to come out of it and not having enjoyed it. If you want to talk about the cinematographical, is that a real word, aspect of it, all right, you can nitpick at a bunch of stuff. I know some people are pissed about some of the CGI. That didn't bother me. And there is something involving, I'm not going to give any of it away, but there is something toward the end of the movie that a lot of people are pissed off about. I'm not pissed off, at all. I think we're being way too sensitive about this thing that some people are angry about. You hear me say this right now, you still don't know what I'm talking about. You're going to go see the movie. You're going to realize what I'm talking about. People are way too sensitive. I'm not sensitive at all. I thought it was really cool. So overall, really, really like The Flash, but not a great movie. Not great. It's not. Not a great movie. All right. We got a lot going on the show today. First up, though, it's the weekend. What better time, if you're in the market for a new car, than to go on out to North Fort Lauderdale Subaru? I'm sending you to the only car dealership I personally endorse. That, of course, is North Fort Lauderdale Subaru. You're going to walk in the showroom doors, and one of their friendly sales team members, they're going to navigate you in the right direction. Whatever you're looking for, North Fort Lauderdale Subaru, they carry the widest inventory of the newest Subaru models on the market. We're talking the Outback, the Crosstrek, the Forester, the Ascent, the WRX. Maybe you're looking for something for the family. You need something bigger. One of Subaru's spacious SUVs. Or maybe you're just looking for that Subaru sedan for your daily commute. North Fort Lauderdale Subaru has the perfect model for you. North Fort Lauderdale Subaru, South Florida's newest and technologically advanced Subaru dealer. Shop over 1,000 vehicles from home. If you go to nflsubaru.com, that's right, nflsubaru.com. North Fort Lauderdale Subaru, located North Andrews Avenue, just north of Cypress Creek Road. The building you know and the place to go. North Fort Lauderdale Subaru. Of course, I also want to tell you guys, if you're dealing with a leak in your house, that could wind up being a major issue. Well, that's why I tell you about my guys, the Greensteins. Family, friends, water cleanup of Florida. I'm going to send you where you're going to get taken care of immediately. If you got a leak, you don't know where it's coming from in your home, that's bad news, all right? Water Cleanup of Florida, they're going to make it good news. 954-900-8635. Water Cleanup of Florida, fully licensed, insured, and certified to provide that one-stop shopping that all of us busy business owners, all of us busy homeowners. That's what we're looking for. You don't need to bring in any other contractors. Water Cleanup of Florida handles the entire project from start to finish, servicing all of the Tri-County area, Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach counties. Call or text Water Cleanup of Florida, 954-900-8635. That's 954-900-8635. Or go to WCUFL.com. You can follow them on social media. Water Cleanup of Florida. We clean up your schmutz. So, we are 6 days away from the NBA draft. Things are happening. I mean, I look on my television right now. They're saying, should the Knicks be interested in Zion Williamson? So this is funny, right? And we'll talk about a lot of this with Trista. This is funny, right? You go back, today's going to be a big day for the NBA, big news day for the NBA. And by the way, if you're listening right now, you may already know the big news. We're going to find out about Ja Morant today. Now, I don't know what the suspension is. You're listening right now. You may already know what the suspension is. You're listening in the future. That's how this works. I can't tell the future. I'm in the past as you're listening to this right now. You may know what the Ja Morant punishment is. We're going to find out today. Here's why we're going to find out. The commissioner told us he's not releasing the information during the NBA Finals. Okay, Finals ended a few nights ago. He wasn't going to release the information yesterday because then it's during the Denver Nuggets parade, which we'll get to that. So was it going to be yesterday? They're not going to release the information next week because then that bleeds into the NBA draft. That should be about the draft next week. So what happens? Today, Friday, news dump. We're going to get the Ja Morant news today. But how about this? Big conversation right now. Ja Morant about to get a massive suspension. It's on my television right now. Should the Knicks be interested in Zion Williamson? Should the Pelicans trade Zion Williamson? You look back at that draft, what was it, 2019? Yeah, the 2019 draft. Top two, great draft, right? Top two picks of the draft. Zion Williamson, Ja Morant. And you fast forward right now, 4 years later, they're both disasters. I mean, who would have saw that? Zion's a disaster. He has missed 64% of the time that he has been in the league. Ja Morant loves guns. Just an idiot. A total nudnik. And now is about to receive a massive suspension. And maybe each of their teams want to move on from them. I don't know. I can't tell the future. But 4 years after that draft, both of those teams, Pelicans, Grizzlies, have pretty significant problems with their big stars who, if they just focused on basketball, if they cared enough about basketball, would be franchise-changing players. Crazy, right? And, I've gotten these messages. I've gotten these tweets. ZASLOW, should the Heat go after Zion? I don't think Zion's fixable. I don't think Zion cares enough about basketball. Oh, but Heat culture can fix that. I don't know. I don't think Heat culture is this magic elixir, by the way, that can fix any problem. I don't believe that. But I don't think Zion Williamson cares about basketball. And I would not trade if I'm the Pelicans, I would absolutely be open to trading Zion Williamson. We've seen enough that we know this guy cannot be relied on. And Ja Morant, I heard Kendrick Perkins talking about it. And I like Perk. I like Goon Time. That Ja needs a change of scenery. And I think he even mentioned the Miami Heat. Ja Morant just needs to grow up. Ja Morant needs to not be a child. Ja Morant needs to not play with guns. Ja Morant just needs to grow up. He doesn't need a change of scenery. And John Morant's in South Florida, in South Beach? I don't know that that's the cure. So, and by the way, like I said, I think the Heat are going to have a very big offseason. And I'm not talking about, we could get Lillard and Beal. No, they can't. I know there's scenarios out there where if this happens and this happens, they can get Lillard and Beal. And they're keeping Butler and Bam. No, they're not. They're not getting Lillard and Beal. If they even get one of them. All right? Stop getting your hopes up with that kind of bullshit. It's nonsense. They're not getting Lillard and Beal. I mean, think about it. You got to trade Hero in one of those deals, right? So okay, they're trading Hero in the deal for Beal. All right. Let's say they don't have to trade all the draft picks. So you're now getting Lillard, just trading draft picks. How you making the money work? You think the Blazers are trading Damian Lillard for Kyle Lowry and Duncan Robinson? You think that's what they're selling to their fan base? You think that the Blazers can get up at the press conference where they're introducing the new players and tell everybody get excited about Lowry and Duncan Robinson? They're not getting both those guys. Stop believing the stupidity. They're not. But I do believe the Heat are going to have a very big offseason. And everyone already is being linked to the Heat. This is what I've heard. In just the last 48 hours, this is all the stuff that I've heard, okay? Like I just told you, Kendrick Perkins thinks John Morant should go to Miami. That's the change of scenery he needs. I also heard starting lineup, SiriusXM NBA Radio, Frank Isola, Brian Scalabrine. They were talking about Karl Anthony Towns, and we'll get to him. Oh my, this guy. And they were talking, that would be a guy that Miami should go after. Okay? Bradley Beal. You got Bradley Beal Miami rumors out there. Damian Lillard. You got Damian Lillard Miami rumors out there. You even have Kyrie rumors out there with Shams Charania is the only one reporting that because he's doing the bidding. He's like Kyrie's do boy. There's no truth to that. But all the big names are being linked to Miami. And yes, ZASLOW, the big names are always linked to Miami. Yeah, but it feels different right now. Like, it feels like the Heat culture, it feels like it's back. It feels like it's back based on what we just saw in this postseason run. So I do think there's some truth to that. But you're starting to see all these names leading up to the draft next week, right? All being linked to the Heat. It's fun. It's going to be fun. So Karl Anthony Towns, how about this? I mean, this is amazing. Karl Anthony Towns was on the Pat Bev podcast. And you know, they were teammates 2 seasons ago in Minnesota. Karl Anthony Towns, who has had no success in the NBA. He's won 4 playoff games. Number 1 overall pick, like 8 or 9 years ago. He's won 4, not 4 series. He's never been out of the first round. He's won 4 individual playoff games. He's a disappointment for a number 1 pick. Number 1 overall pick should be a franchise changer. That's the point. He's a disappointment, Karl Anthony Towns. And it is so easy to see now why Jimmy Butler could not stand playing with this guy and had to get out of Minnesota. I mean, number 1, you look at his body type, you look at his figure. This dude is not in shape. He's so soft. He is not in shape. This is not someone who works hard. And then you hear stuff like this. He was on the Pat Bev podcast. There were several things that he said, right? The first one was he was asked, how are you going to be remembered when you're not playing more? He's going to be remembered as someone who changed the game. Changed the game? No one is going to say that. Change the game? He's won 4 playoff games. Then you also have, if he was allowed to call plays throughout the game, if he was allowed to be in control of the offense, he would score 40 points every single night. Okay. And finally, here's the money clip, all right? So again, here's Karl Anthony Towns on Pat Bev podcast talking about what they accomplished 2 seasons ago, winning a play-in game in Minnesota.
I don't care how you say it. Like, it was a reason the Denver Nuggets won a championship.
I just played them in the playoffs, bro. They was telling us our plays. They were like, all right, yo, they weren't even talking. Right. Right to an area, and the person was just randomly right there. I'm like, how is this possible? But they also what's one of the things that, like, you see, it was more special what we did in Minnesota, because we had like a month, and then we had training camp, and it was like, you better figure it all out right now. Yeah. And we really figured it out quick. Yeah. Think about it. They had Jokic been in the league
4 years.
If you think about it, 4 years, we got it done in 4 months.
Right. I mean, the two of them just gassing each other up as if winning a play-in game is an accomplishment. It's something to be proud of. It's nothing. And then to compare it, saying what they accomplished, because, they were thrown together not too long before the season started, what they accomplished was more impressive, was more special than what the Denver Nuggets just accomplished, winning a championship. How can anyone say that? And, because they just were thrown together at the beginning of the season. The Nuggets have been together 3 or 4 years. Hey, Karl, you've been on the Timberwolves for like 7, 8 years. You've accomplished nothing. What are you talking about where the Nuggets were together 3 or 4 years? You've been there twice that and have done nothing. I can't get over that clip. I mean, if I'm the Wolves, I'm very, very concerned about that type of comment. This is a guy who we already knew didn't work hard. That's why Jimmy wanted out. And now he believes. How about this? The number 1 overall pick in the draft, who is supposed to be a franchise changer when you select a guy at number 1 overall. The number 1 overall pick, who at this point has never even won a playoff series, believes winning a play-in game is more special than winning a championship. The guy you're supposed to build your franchise around believes that. If I'm the Wolves, I'm very concerned with this loser's mentality. Karl Anthony Towns a loser. If I'm the Wolves, I'm very, very concerned. And I would absolutely look to move him. I mean, look, you can get a lot for him. And clearly the Gobert-Towns dynamic doesn't work. And I think Rudy Gobert is a stiff, but you would get nothing in trade for Rudy Gobert today. I'd keep Gobert, I'd trade Towns, I'd build around Anthony Edwards, who's awesome. If I'm the Wolves, I'm very, very disturbed by these comments from Karl Anthony Towns. He is a loser. I can't get over that clip. I really can't. It's unbelievable. All right. So like I said, though, today's going to be a big news day for the NBA. We're going to find out the John Morant stuff today. And then next show we have on Monday. I mean, you're going to have more rumors, trade reports. It's running rampant out there. All right, we'll get to Trista Crick coming up. We'll do more NBA with her. First, though, it's Friday. You know how we do. Let's get to Big Game or Not a Big Game. Big Game or Not a Big Game every Friday, brought to us by Brunt Insurance. That's right. If it's that time of year, it is for me. If it's that time of year where you got to renew your homeowner's insurance, if you're not happy with your rates, if you're not happy with your coverage, hey, look at me. I'm happy. See, that smile right there. I'm happy. That's because I get my insurance through Brunt Insurance. BruntInsurance.com, 954-589-2204, wherever you're calling from in Florida. They got 3 locations, Davie, Stewart, and Lakeland. 954-589-2204, open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., from Pensacola all the way down to the Keys. Brunt Insurance, they know whatever area you're calling from. Whatever you're looking for, the type of home you have, the area you're at. Do you know all the type of insurance, that coverage that you need based on where you live? Well, Brunt Insurance, #1 rated insurance company in all of Florida, top 5 in the country. They're going to tell you exactly what you need. They're going to get you the affordable care that offers the best coverage on your home. Maybe you're not just looking for homeowners insurance, automobile, motorcycle, boat. You made the right call when you call Brunt Insurance at 954-589-2204. Take it from me, I've been getting my homeowners insurance with Brunt Insurance for almost 10 years now. Call Greg Brunt and his team at Brunt Insurance, 954-589-2204. Make sure you're covered. This way, you don't have to lose sleep. BruntInsurance.com. You're not going to thank me. You thank them. All right, there you go. So Brunt Insurance, make sure you get your home insurance covered the same way that I've been covered by Brunt Insurance for all these years. Let's get to big game or not a big game. Here we go. Very, very limited big game or not a big game. We're going to have to take a break. It's summertime, but we're going to do one today. Big game or not a big game? Tonight, 7:05 p.m. Bally Sports, Florida. Miami Marlins at the Washington Nationals. The Marlins just came off of salvaging their series in Seattle. They won 2 nights ago. They lost 2 out of 3, and now they're playing the lowly Nationals. The Marlins enter 38-31. They're off to their best start since the World Series championship year of 1997. The Marlins tonight, Sandy Alcantara's on the hill. Now, last year, that was a great thing. This year, not so much. He's 2-5. He has an ERA around 5. He has not been good this year. But that's one of the things that you're excited about with the Marlins because they're off to their best start since 97. They're getting great pitching from Yori Perez, from Edward Cabrera, from Jesus Luzardo. If the reigning Cy Young winner can get his act together, that could be exciting for the Marlins. So Marlins at Nationals tonight. It's not a big game. I'm sorry. I can't get you hyped up. I can't do it. What are we talking here? Game number 70 on the season? I'm sorry. It's not a big game. All right, moving on. Big game or not a big game? Tonight, 8 p.m., Fox, WWE SmackDown. Now, we're on the road to Money in the Bank. That's right. In 2 weeks from now, Money in the Bank is coming at you live from London. We already know, I think we know all the men's participants. I think maybe we have one more spot for the women's Money in the Bank match. But tonight, your tribal chief, Roman Reigns, is back on the show. What? The bloodline is in tatters. Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Solo, Roman Reigns will address all of it. Your tribal chief on SmackDown tonight. WWE SmackDown, that's a big game. Yup, you know it. And finally, got one more for you here. Saturday night, 8 p.m., TNT, the debut episode of AEW Collision. That's right. AEW is launching their new weekly show on Saturday nights, 8 p.m. on TNT, Collision. And it will debut the return of the very controversial CM Punk. The main event is CM Punk and FTR versus the Bullet Club and Samoa Joe. That's a big-time 6-man tag main event. They call it a trios match on AEW. But most importantly, we're going to be tuning in. We're going to see what's up with CM Punk. We'll have a new episode of It's Still Real to Me on Sunday covering CM Punk's return to AEW and the debut of Collision. AEW Collision, that's a big game. That's right. You didn't know what direction I was going to go in there. That's a big game. And that right there is another edition of Big Game or Not a Big Game, presented as always by Brunt Insurance. Go to bruntinsurance.com.